This week on ANN, media ministries expand in the church's inter-American region.
A Nepali student receives the $1 millionth from a women's ministry scholarship fund.
And Adventist President Ted Wilson travels around the world encouraging religious officials in Thailand and continues his travels to Jordan.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, administrative unions in the church's inter-American region recently launched new media centers to reach more people with the gospel. Last month, the French Antilles Guiana Union opened a studio where many shows will be produced, including television programs, music videos, and podcasts. Also, the Interoceanic Mexican Union's media efforts with Esperanza TV now has potential for expansion after gaining exposure in a national television exposition. At the expo, more than 40 broadcast channels express interest in airing Esperanza TV. In addition to finding more networks to air Esperanza TV, leaders for the church in Inter-America aim to establish studios in every union and each major educational institution in its territory. Further south, in the North Colombia Union, 2 new channels were launched to enrich the union's evangelistic efforts. The new channels, Esperanza Colombia Radio and Esperanza Colombia TV, will show a variety of original programming online.
We have decided to launch a television channel online, or television on demand. And what does television on demand mean? It means that you can go to the program that you like, to the episode you want. You don't need to wait for a predetermined time to go to watch it. We are creating ample programming, but this programming is our own, produced by UCN Media. UCN Media is the producer of EsperanzaColombia.tv. Our advantage is that we aren't syndicating or using rebroadcast programs. Our entire programming lineup is original, and you have access to it. If you are a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church or simply a friend who wants to watch quality shows that enrich your life, this is your channel. How do you access it? It's simple. Go online to EsperanzaColombia.tv. There, you will find programs about healthy cooking, exercises, spiritual reflections, a wide variety of things. We look forward to seeing you there. Don't miss out. EsperanzaColombia.tv.
Esperanza TV is Hope Channel's Spanish-language broadcast for North America and Central America. Colombia's new online channels will join the global network of 33 channels around the world.
A Nepali student last week was the recipient of the $1 millionth of a scholarship fund from the Adventist World Church's Women's Ministries Department. The $1 millionth was included in a $500 scholarship granted for tuition assistance to India's Spicer Adventist University. The fund has awarded scholarships to more than 2,000 Adventist women from 124 countries. Adventist Women's Ministries leader Heather Dawn Small shared the significance of the achievement.
This month of July has been an exciting time for General Conference Women's Ministries Department. We gave our $1 millionth in women's scholarships to a young woman called Sunita Roka from Nepal. Education is one of the 6 pillars upon which Women's Ministries stands on. We are very much committed to promoting education, higher education for women around the world church. The fact that we were able to give $1 million to this date is a huge achievement for us. The scholarship program is funded by the profits of the devotional book, which we put out each year. And we are so happy that there are so many hundreds of women who have been able to improve their lives, give their lives in service to the church, and to just be a better all-rounded person because they have received a scholarship from us.
Adventist World Church President Ted Wilson visited Adventist institutions in Thailand earlier this month to offer encouragement in the wake of civil unrest. Wilson visited the Thai capital of Bangkok to pray and offer biblical counsel to the country's top leaders for religious affairs. In addition to meeting with government leaders, more than 1,000 Adventist pastors heard Wilson give the keynote address during the Revival and Reflecting God's Glory Pastoral Convention. Wilson also visited the Bangkok Adventist Hospital and toured 2 Adventist schools.
Wilson also traveled to the Middle Eastern country of Jordan to thank government officials for renewing the registration of the Adventist Church. The official renewal, which had been in jeopardy, is required for the Adventist Church to operate in the nation. There are 150 Adventist members in the predominantly Muslim country. The Adventist Church has been legally permitted to function in the nation as a result of a royal decree given in 1960.
Adventists in South America are taking advantage of the social networking platform Twitter to share the Revived by His Word campaign. Revived by His Word is an initiative of the Adventist Church to read the entire Bible through daily chapter readings by the 2015 General Conference session. In South America, Adventists are sharing the daily readings on Twitter. Throughout this past year, more than 6,000 people tweeted on the topic 100,000 times. More than 8 million people online have been able to see the tweets that carry the daily readings. Even the president of the church in the South American region has participated by sending the readings to his 30,000 followers on Twitter.
An Adventist media center in the United Kingdom recently produced a series with Adventist evangelist Mark Finley to address tough questions about God. The 8-episode series was filmed in Dublin, Ireland, and features well-known landmarks that prompt difficult questions about faith and the love of God. The release of the series comes as ministers prepare for evangelistic meetings called Ancient Discoveries Reveal the Future, which will take place in September. To watch the first 4 episodes of the series, visit youtube.com/UKHopeTV.
Nigerian Adventists in the United Kingdom recently celebrated the 100th anniversary of Adventism in the Western African country. Special emphasis was given to former missionaries who served in Nigeria and helped to grow the Adventist presence in the nation. The South England Conference of Seventh-day Adventists sent this report.
It's such an important day for us as Nigerian Adventists, because for many of us, I for one, I'm a third generation Adventist, and it's such a delight to be able to look back, see that 100 years have just come and gone like that, and the Lord has been awesome, to us as a people. We had these missionaries who came to Nigeria. For some of us, we heard about their stories. They worked in some of the churches we went to. They worked in the hospitals that some of us were born in. To look at people who gave their lives, sacrificed the comforts of their homes, and their children. I think it is very humbling. I'm looking at my children. I've been trying to bring them up in such a way that they will appreciate that as Nigerians we have a heritage to be proud of, and that as Adventists we also have a heritage to be proud of. So today is a mixture of both.
I've had a wonderful day here with the Nigerians that we remember so well. Not only that are here that we remember, it's a long time ago, but it's lovely. The colours, the robes, the people, the singing, it's all been absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed it, and my husband would have loved it. He would really have loved it. He left part of his heart in Africa.
It's a great experience to be here today on this centenary celebration. I came to Nigeria first 45 years ago to work with the Biafra crisis, and then later on my wife and I both worked in North Nigeria. So it's really wonderful to meet some of the workers here, to see how things have advanced in the last 50 years. Whereas with the North Nigeria mission where we worked, there were maybe 3,000 members when we were there. Now they have over 100,000 in the same area. So it's wonderful to see how God has progressed the work there.
Young adults from 4 Adventist churches in the Washington, D.C. metro area volunteer their time to serve the homeless in their region for a second year in a row. Volunteers of the Park and Praise event fed and distributed clothes and toiletries to 500 homeless people. The event also served as a venue to offer praise and thanksgiving. More than 600 people attended the service, which included a concert, devotional thought, and prayer. Organizers also partnered with the U.S. Public Health Service, commissioned corps to provide free health checkups. Coming up, a preview of the latest edition of Adventist World.
It was around noon when Peter went up to the roof to pray. It was here that Peter had a vision about a large sheet containing a mix of unclean animals, representing God's affirmation of the diversity of peoples in the growing church.
We had heard that Peter was staying at the house of Simon the tanner and were instructed by Cornelius the centurion to go out and find him.
While Peter was still thinking about the vision, the Holy Spirit told him to go downstairs because 3 men were looking for him. Peter went down and told the men that he was the one they were looking for.
We then told Peter that Cornelius the centurion had been told by an angel that Peter would come and see him at his house. So, unbeknown to Peter, Cornelius was already expecting his visit to Caesarea.
What happened here was quite unusual, just the fact that Peter entered the house. Remember that it was against the law for a Jew to associate with or visit a Gentile.
Cornelius told Peter how 3 days earlier he had been praying in his house when an angel had appeared before him.
Peter shared with Cornelius his new understanding that God does not show favoritism and is the Lord of all. This was a real turning point. From this point on, the gospel was also given among other people groups, and it all started out with prayer and fasting and a vision.
Welcome back. Gerald Klingbeil shares what you'll find in the current edition of Adventist World magazine.
Shots fired in Sarajevo, Serbia, more than 100 years ago changed the world forever. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria led directly to the outbreak of World War I and years of senseless killings in a new type of war. In this week's issue of Adventist World, Andrews University PhD student Dennis Kaiser revisits this tragic moment in world history in his cover story entitled Love Your Enemy? More than just highlighting the insanity of war and the major challenges it represented to faithful Seventh-day Adventists living in the involved nations, Kaiser focuses upon the true character of Jesus' followers by looking at 7 important ethical challenges taught by Jesus in his Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5-7. God's children should be characterized primarily by the attempt to resemble God's character of perfect, excessive, and reconciling love to friends and enemies, he writes in his conclusion. And as we face an increasingly more complex political landscape in this world, we would do well to practice this excessive and reconciling love. Here are 2 more highlights of this week's issue. Read Raul Quiroga's devotional on heart religion, and then let God do his magic as he transforms your heart. Or enjoy the engaging Adventist heritage piece on Barbadian Adventism by Glenn Phillips entitled From Exclusion to Inclusion, How a Little Island Became a Great Witness. I hope you will delight in these articles and many more in this week's issue of Adventist World. As always, you can read us online or in the printed copy that should make it to your postbox in the next days.
A majority of the world's population lives in countries with high restriction on religious practices. The Department of Public Affairs and Religious Liberty shares how you can help the church defend the freedom of conscience around the world.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church has an active missionary presence in over 200 countries and territories. But around the world, religious hatred exposes itself in countless ways. If anyone says, "I love God," yet hates his brother, he is a liar. For anyone who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God, whom he has not seen. Unfortunately, men never do evil so completely and cheerfully as when they do it from religious conviction. But we hold true that religious liberty is a God-given right. The end of law is not to abolish or restrain, but to preserve and enlarge freedom. For in all the states of created beings capable of law, where there is no law, there is no freedom. We believe in the natural and inalienable right of freedom of conscience, to have or not to have a religion, to adopt the religion or belief of one's choice, to change religious belief according to conscience, and to manifest one's religion individually or in community with others. Nevertheless, it's evident that freedom of religion is increasingly under attack around the world, diminishing our ability to pray, worship, and share the love of Christ with others. We sometimes see religion twisted in an attempt to justify hatred and persecution against other people just because of who they are or how they pray. But to harm anyone in the name of faith is to diminish our own relationship with God. Every faith is a candle we light in the public domain. A little light drives away much darkness, and no one else's candle diminishes mine. But if we all light our candles together, we can turn a dark world into one full of light. And that is why working together for the cause of religious liberty is so fundamental and so precious. In support of our efforts to defend religious liberty for all people around the world, we ask that you pray, that you write, and that you rally. Because the world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing.
Still ahead, learning the basics of editing and recording audio.
But up next, addressing the critical issue of illiteracy among women around the world.
Welcome back. For this month's feature from Women's Ministries, Raquel Ajais shares projects that are empowering women worldwide to learn how to read and write.
According to UNESCO, United Nations Institute for Statistical 2013 report, 774 million adults still cannot read or write. 2/3 of them, 493 million, are women. 1 out of every 3 women in the world cannot read and write. Among youth, 123 million are illiterate, of which 76 million are female. Even though the size of the global illiterate population is shrinking, the female proportion has remained virtually steady at 63%. Illiteracy is one of the critical issues that impact women globally. In the Women's Ministries Department, Many projects have been established around the globe, such as basic literacy training, computer literacy, second language training program, literacy centers, in order to meet this need. In India, for example, women are leading more than 3 literacy centers called Never Too Late to Read that empower women, enabling them to lead and have a better future. Thousands of people are being baptized as a result of this project. Another example is in Shirpan, a small town in south of Bulgaria. Most of the inhabitants are gypsies of Muslim culture and speak the Turkish language. To reach out to the community, one local woman, Antoneta Benova, saw this as a challenge and an opportunity to make a difference. Rosino, the village, has a small Seventh-day Adventist church where 28 faithful members attend services and help more than 60 visitors every weekend. People come looking for hope, looking for a better future. So the illiteracy program was established. Classes quickly filled with many young people and women. After 1 year, the small church in Shirpan had more than 100 people, and now they have a new church building. The goal of these projects are to enlighten the illiterate women so their eyes will be open to see the reality in life, to enable them to see the word and the world. They in turn can teach their children and grandchildren and help the church and the society as well. To know more about these projects, you can go to AdventistWomen'sMinistries.org.
If you've ever wanted to put together your own radio shows, well, this segment is for you. In this week's Tech Corner, John Beckett shares tips for using the audio editing software Audacity.
Today we're going to talk about how to get started with basic audio recording and editing. To begin with, you'll need to decide how to bring audio into your computer. Most computers have a line-in or microphone jack that may work. If you're planning to bring audio into your computer from a sound booth, you'll probably need a cable that converts from RCA-style jacks to the mini jack input on your computer. You can buy one at a lot of electronics stores. If you're planning to record yourself speaking, buy a good headset with an attached microphone. A search on Amazon for a Sennheiser headset will bring up a nice choice. I like the Sennheiser PC151. Now you'll need some sort of software to record and edit. Download and install Audacity from audacity.sourceforge.net. In Audacity, begin with a test recording. Check the audio levels to make sure they reach halfway up, but never or very infrequently reach all the way to the top. Adjust the position of the microphone and input volume in Audacity until you reach a good recording volume. Now you're ready to record. When you're done, highlight the sections you want to remove from the beginning, end, and any mistakes in the middle and press delete. Choose File Export to save your recording. Becoming an expert at recording and editing is something that takes a lot of practice, but hopefully these few tips will be enough to get you started.
Now it's time to turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, the death of Annie Smith, an editor who assisted the Adventist Church's co-founders, James and Ellen White.
This week in Adventist history is one that is significant for the Church's publishing work and for Adventist hymn writing. On July 27, 1882, the Norwegian Adventist Publishing House was organized under the leadership of J.G. Mattison, pioneer leader of Adventist work in Scandinavia. It printed books and periodicals for Sweden and Denmark as well as for Norway. Since 1940, the institution has been named Norsk Bokforlag and prints for Norway only. On July 28, 1870, James Edson White, second son of James and Ellen White, married Emma McDiarmid, whose sister Harriet was later to marry F.E. Belden. Belden was White's cousin and a noted Adventist hymn writer, whose first hymns were published in the book Song, Anchor, and Temperance Songs, which Edson White published when he was working at the Pacific Press. 15 years and 2 days earlier, on July 26, 1855, Annie Smith died of tuberculosis. She had given up a faculty position at a prestigious women's seminary in order to help James White with the printing work. Annie edited copy, corrected proofs, and was in charge when White was absent, as was often the case. She was an artist whose self-portrait you can see now, and also wrote poems and hymns, some of which remain popular, including I Saw One Weary, Sad and Torn, Long Upon the Mountains, and How Far From Home. She was just 27 when she died. Annie Smith stands as a reminder that this church was created and built up by young people who gave everything to spreading the three angels' messages.
Thanks for watching A&N. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, you can join the global conversation on Facebook and Twitter. You can connect with other Adventists around the world and find links to more photos, videos, stories. All you have to do is visit Facebook/Adventist News or Twitter/Adventist Church.
Our good news for this week comes from Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. The passage says, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand."
That's certainly news that we can take courage in.
We need it now.
Absolutely. That's our program for this week, and remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. So until next time, God bless.
Take care.